Hey, what's going on? Just want to do a quick reactionary pod, daily podcast. This we might keep doing this going forward, but for now, let's do a quick reaction. We'll have more full blown podcasts later in the week. I'll have student game report later in the week to do a full blown recap on Wildcard Weekend. But Wildcard Week was great, and I want to touch a couple things quickly for a couple minutes just to kind of get this in and out. We'll have the student game report most likely tomorrow. We got a full week of podcast scheduled this rest of the week, so but let me get this one out real quick. Just give my reactions to Wildcard Weekend. First off, I think the big dick Nick thing, the big dick Knicks thing is a real thing in Philadelphia, and I think the Eagles will have. Look, if I'm the Eagles moving forward, you have to start at least exploring the idea of trading Carson Wentz if you have to. I'm not saying you should, and I don't think you should either. But I think the Eagles have to consider at least look at the options going forward for Carson Wentz. If you think Nick Foles could be just on correct moving forward, I think Carson Wentz is a better quarterback. But there's something to be said about Nick Foles, what he's done, not just what he did last year, not just what he's done this year, but even the 27 touchdown, 2 interception year, which Chip Kelly's head coach back in I think it was 2013. He's had some really good years. So he has shown to be when he is, in a good situation to be a very solid quarterback. Great game yesterday by the Eagles against the Bears. Came up to a field goal, of course. I will say this though, coming out of that game, very impressed with Mr. Trubisky moving forward. I think not just in this game, Wildcard game, but also coming down the stretch the year, he played much better, made some big time throws in the game against Philadelphia. If you're a Bears fan, I would say I'd be very much impressed. I'd be very impressed and very encouraged moving forward about Trubisky and what he can do moving forward. Okay, we had the other side of the game with the Chargers and the Ravens. Now it got interesting late in the game. Chargers won a game, of course, over the Ravens. But the Chargers look scary. The Chargers right now might be the most balanced team and most complete team in the AFC, and they probably were the most balanced team coming into the playoffs, and they're certainly now the most balanced team in the entire AFC. You can argue even in the league right now. Defense, offense, special teams, quarterback, skill position players all across the board. The Chargers look scary. They go to New England next week. I think that game. I think there's a strong case that the winner of that game might go to Atlanta for Super Bowl 53. So, meanwhile, the Ravens, I thought, did the right thing in keeping Lamar Jackson in the game. I thought he played well toward the end of the game. Obviously, he was horrible the first 3 quarters. Last 10 minutes, he made it a game. What's bothered me really more than anything else is that even though he was horrible, and we're all acknowledging that he was horrible, I am still surprised that the offensive line of the Ravens didn't get more blame for what happened in that game. I'm a little surprised. Because, he got no time to throw the ball. Lamar Jackson had no time to throw the ball, number one. And I think we need to kind of use more context when we talk about these things. And I think, I don't think bringing Joe Flacco in the game would have helped the situation because Joe Flacco's a statue back there. And if the offensive line's not playing well, Joe Flacco has no chance to extend plays. At least Lamar Jackson gave you a chance to extend plays. And eventually they adjusted and they made the game late. But I thought they did the right thing to keep Lamar Jackson in despite the big deficit they had in the game. The Saturday game, of course, the first game was the Texans and the Colts. The Colts advance, of course. And I posted on social media earlier during the game, like at halftime. And I was kind of tongue-in-cheek to some degree. I think my MVP is still Patrick Mahomes. But I was just saying on Saturday, like, are we completely sure? Like, are we completely sure that Andrew Luck is not the MVP of the league? And I'm not saying that because of the value more than anything else. And I think we look at MVPs. We all year long we've been talking about Pat Mahomes, deservedly so. Drew Brees, deservedly so. And Andrew Luck in the last 2 months has come to the conversation. And I will be honest. I have to be honest with you. I think Andrew Luck has a better case to be in the conversation than Drew Brees. And all you have to do is look at the December numbers. The December numbers, Luck has been much better. The teams play better football. Drew Brees has been pretty much average in December. Pat Mahomes has been phenomenal in December, actually. And I think the conversation should be really more about Luck against Mahomes, not Brees against Mahomes. No, and that's not a knock on Drew Brees either, because I think Drew Brees had a phenomenal year. But I think there's a lot to be said about Drew Brees and the narratives and the NFL and people wanting to kind of push this narrative because he's 39 years old, the other golden boy. and he had the passing record this year, early in the year, and all that. I think there is something to be said about a narrative being pushed, when in fact, in terms of actual value, especially, I think Mahomes and Luck in that order should be your top two MVP candidates. So that's that. The Texans, meanwhile, came in flat. They flopped, and very disappointing end to a season that they turned around and whatnot. And it was just one of those things where like you'll let down. You were definitely let down. So that's just that. The Texans were just flops and they shouldn't have been there. Well, in the playoffs, yeah, of course, just in the playoffs, they did well. They played well to get in, but they looked like the worst team in the playoffs of the weekend. They were definitely the worst team of the weekend. And of course, Cowboys Seahawks, great game. And I'll tell you right now, Dak Prescott, regardless of what you may think of Dak Prescott as a quarterback, it's not sexy, it's not flashy. There's certain mechanics that he still lacks, but the guy just wins, man. 3 years as starting quarterback. This is his record: 13-3, 9-7, 10-6. 2 of those years he won a division. Okay, he just wins, and now he has a playoff win to under his belt. He just wins. There's certain intangibles that Dak Prescott has that you have to respect. You really do. And I look, he's gonna get paid. Whether you like it or not, he's gonna get paid. I won't say as much though about the Cowboys and this and that. For all the Tony Romo haters out there, could you imagine Tony Romo with his defense? Could you imagine how good the Cowboys would have been with if Romo had this defense with the offenses he had? Because Tony Romo played with some historically bad defenses. Just saying. So Seattle, meanwhile, great. Obviously a very good year, despite people thinking they're going to rebuild and fall apart. 10-6 record. Russell Wilson didn't play great, but he made some big plays in that game. And I think Seattle, if they can, I don't know their situation with the cap and whatnot, if they have a cap room or whatever, but I think Seattle is back in the mix to being a team to be reckoned with. And and of course, when you have a top 5 quarterback, in my opinion, in the league, and Russell Wilson, you should be respected as such. So, okay, that's my daily talk for the day. Wildcard Weekend. I was able to do a full-blown podcast day yet because I have plans this week to do some podcasts, which I will do. Doing a report, of course. I got the Shooting the Shit podcast coming on Thursday. I think I'm dropping an NBA pod on Wednesday and another podcast dropping on Friday. So I think we're going to go 5 days a week for full episodes, and we'll start doing these little dailies also to kind of sweeten the deal here for you guys. So again, Twitter EJChristian7, Earthspeaking Media, of course, at earthspeaking.net, and see you guys later. Love you guys. Take care and see ya.